If I can ask everyone to either turn your cell phones off or put them on mute or vibrate so it doesn't disturb the lecture thing. And if anybody can move up a little bit, thank you.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة المبارك الفاتحة. بسم الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه نستعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الرؤوف الرحيم وهو رحمته للعالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المقتولين المهديين ولعنة الله دائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Last week, Thursday and Friday, I brought up this issue or the subject of knowledge and seeking knowledge, and how seeking it, understanding what it is that you're seeking, what is its importance to you, and how to seek it, forms the bedrock of a community. It forms the bedrock of a family. It forms the bedrock or the foundation of any relationship. And I spoke about one of the reasons why we see sometimes in our Muslim ummah, in our communities, that despite the, bringing sometimes, as they say, the best speaker, I don't even know what that means sometimes in the terminology that people use. Here, almost like there's some kind of singer or rock star they're bringing, but anyhow, that's a different story. I'm not talking about this community, it's just in general, the Muslim community, Muslim ummah. But nevertheless, despite having that best, whatever that best is, we find our problems continue. And problems will always continue in life because it's the nature of this world. But we find sometimes that we have not progressed ourselves as a family, as husbands, as wives, as children. And there's foundational reasons for that. There's fundamental reasons for that. And they're very uncomfortable to explore. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran gets to the heart of issues. This is a month of the Quran. Allah gets to the heart of an issue, gets right to the, so to speak, the meat of an issue. And He tells us that إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ, that when it is told to them, follow what Allah has revealed. Hey, listen and follow this revelation that has come. Just like the speakers or the prophets or the anbiya or the mursaleen or the great ulama have come and warned us and told us. قَالُوا بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ مَا أَلْفَيْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. And they say, well, yeah, we are. We're following what we've been given from our fathers. أو لو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but the added problem is that what if your fathers, meaning your previous generations, لا يعقلون شيئا, that they themselves did not use their aql to understand anything. لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون, nor were they guided. Which raises such a fundamental question, and which requires us to return to first principles, mabani. We have to return to first principles. As the Middle Mu'mineen says, أَوَّلَ دِينْ مَعْرِفَتُهُ, that the first element of religion here is the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is God? Who is He? Why do I owe Him anything? Why has He created me? What are His attributes? This all, of course, returns to the, pertains to the area known as aqaid, or beliefs, ittiqad. This has to be firm. And I believe, well, not I believe, the A'immah have told us, na'udhu billah, not the A'immah Tahireen, Ma'asumeen have told us, أَوَّلَ دِينْ مَعْرِفَتُهُ, as the Middle Mu'mineen has said. The first element of religion is the ma'rifat of Allah. To prove and understand the existence of Allah. There's a beautiful incident from the life of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, that Farazdak meets Imam al-Hussein outside of the city of Makkah. Imam asks him, where have you come from? He says, I've come from Kufa. And, he says, where are you heading? He says, well, we're heading in that direction, right? Mufid narrates this in his Irshad. And Farazdak basically tells the Imam, na'udhu billah, he kind of tells him, this doesn't make any sense to me what you're doing. These people are not going to be faithful to you, basically, is what he's saying. And you're heading in that direction. And the Imam says, وَكُلُّ يَوْمٍ رَبُّنَا هُوَ فِي الشَّأْنِ. Allahu Akbar. The Imam says, Salamullahi alayhi, every day God is with us. That every day God is present in our lives. That the Imam sees all of this unfolding in front of him, and he realizes that you Farazdak, think that you understand these issues. Abdullah ibn Abbas thought that he understood these issues. Some of the relatives of Imam al-Hussein thought that they understood these issues, and the Imam is saying that God truly understands this affair. That at every moment God is taking away opportunities and giving us new ones. Every moment of our life, His creation is being renewed. Every moment. And it is this belief, this conviction in this ultimate creator, in this ultimate power, in this ultimate truth, in this ultimate giver of life and taker of life, that the Imam had his conviction in. That he ultimately decides. We try. We make intentions. But He ultimately determines the final outcome. And we have to resign ourselves. Well, I won't say resign ourselves. I have to say we have to, for those who have control issues, they have to resign themselves to that. For the mu'mineen, they take solace in the fact that, as Imam al-Hussein says, وَكُلُّ يَوْمٍ رَبُّنَا هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. And it is this belief in God, this belief in this transcendental power, this belief in this creator that gives life to everything, that formed the absolute foundation of the prophetic message. It is the complete horizon through which The prophets and the imams saw and understood this complicated and at times messy place known as dunya. People will come and people will go. People will be rich and people will be poor. Some will live and some will die. Some shall be hungry and some shall be satisfied and satiated. We try our best, but at the end of the day, we know that for the mu'min, it is ultimately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَسْأَلُهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. That everything asks God. Everything is in a state of absolute awe and bewilderment. كُلُّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Just to know simply that every day God's plan is unfolding. And as believers, we submit our hearts to that ultimate plan. Much of it we don't understand. Much of it we cannot conceive of. I will admit that. We must begin to admit that. But we know that the plan of God is unfolding at every moment. في كل زمان وفي كل مكان. In every moment and in every place. Farastak did not understand that point. Abdullah ibn Abbas did not understand that point. Imam al-Hussein understood that point. Amir al-Mu'mineen understood that point. Umar ibn al-Khattab, perhaps second Khalifa, did not understand that. Uthman did not understand that. Talha did not understand that. Zubair did not understand that. But the A'immah understood this point. That without God, we have nothing. That we can endeavor to execute as many plans as we want, build as many institutions as we want, as many creative ideas as we would like to organize for its financial system and this system and that system and so on and so forth. But without God, we have nothing. We are merely playing with delusions. Look at the life of our fourth Imam, Sayyidu Sajidin, Zain al-Abidin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Everything that happened to him, the torture, oppression, and he poured his heart out into something known as the Zabur of Ali Muhammad. That's the Psalms of Ali Muhammad. Into this most beautiful text where in the first dua, he says, in describing the meaning of hamd, of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, Hamdan nu'ammaru bihi fi man hamidahu min khalqihi. That for the creature who praises God, who chants his praise, bukratan wa asila, right? Morning and night. That it is a praise by which we extend our own lives. It is a praise that gives us life. وَنَسْبِقُ بِهِ مَنْ سَبَقَ إِلَى رِضَاءَهُ وَعَفْوِهِ. And for the people, hamd, Life is a competition of sorts. It is. It's a race. To what? To the rida and afu of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the satisfaction and pleasure and pardon of God. That is their race. Because they are the people of Hamd. This is the month of Hamd. This is the month of Tilawat al-Quran wa qira'atu du'a, of reciting his book and du'a. At every moment He is giving us existence. At every moment He is giving us a new lease on life. And guess what? No one can take that away. No one can ever take that away from you. That is what the Aimma are teaching us. That is what the Prophet taught us. No one can take that away. Leave aside our enemies. No one can take that away from us. And that is what gives the mu'min his or her izzah and dignity. That is what gave Amir al-Mu'mineen dignity in his final hour. That is what gave Imam al-Hussein dignity in his final hour. That is what gave Imam al-Hassan dignity in his final hour. Nothing else. The belief and the understanding that يَسْأَلُهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. That is it. Not me and not you. Not my boss nor your boss. Not the chairman of your company or the chairman of my company. No. Rabbul Alameen. That is it. That is the final deal here. And He is God. And this sums up, really in a very small little nutshell, the message of the Ma'asum. Whether it be on Ashura, or the 21st of Ramadan, or any other time. That is what it sums up. That the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala survive the darkest nights of history because they live their life in the presence of God. And they know through experience and understanding that any other life will not give them fulfillment. It will not. No other way of life will give us fulfillment. That is the purpose of religion. My dear youth, that is why we have religion. My dear youngsters, that's why. Ad-Din al-Qayyim. That is the firm path. That is why we have religion. But that has to be founded on ilm and ma'rifah. And that is the purpose of the Sharia. That the purpose of the Sharia, of the ahkam of Islam, derives out of that one truth. That is, all allegiance is owed to God. And if all allegiance is ultimately owed to God, then naturally our actions and our thoughts, or our failure to act, returns to God and His judgment. But we must first be certain of that one principle. Which is God. If we are not certain of that one first principle, as the middle Mu'mineen says, "O waladin ma'rifatuhu," that the first element of religion is a ma'rifat of Allah. And we can't move forward. But that has to be based on knowledge, not on what necessarily my father or mother or grandfather or great-grandfather or my tribe or my city taught me. Not necessarily. Then that requires us, na'udhu billah, of course, no one here this would apply to replace the music with Quran. To replace vain television shows with documentaries. But that is only done, truly, with conviction and happiness and contentment and itminan, when we believe. Otherwise, it's just Maulana coming up and hammering on the same thing. I can come and say whatever I want, but if you don't truly believe, at the end of the day, every person and soul is left for themselves. That is how it is. I can say what I want to say, but if I don't truly believe in it, then it means nothing either. Do we believe in God? In a God that has a profound effect on our lives. In a God that shapes our life, that guides us every day, that causes us to arise and to go to sleep. That instead of concerning ourselves, let me just give you this example. I was in Washington. I've given this example for years, but certain examples sit with you. This example is from 7 or 8 years ago. I was at a conference in DC on Islamic law. So I was there for 10 days, and I happened to meet a Shia, a brother, mashallah, and I went over to, he invited me to his house a couple of days. We met through a common individual. So we spent some of the days together during that time. I believe it was in the month of Sha'ban. And we were sitting and we were eating one day, and he used to make very nice food. We were fully Japanese food and unique kind of food anyhow. And we're sitting and we're chatting. In his, alhamdulillah, simple house. Nice, simple home. And I told him, in US, America, college tuition is very expensive. In fact, a friend of mine just told me that his daughter got into one of the schools in Massachusetts, and it's $200,000 for the 4-year program. That's how much it costs for a decent business school. $200,000. The same program over here, I think, is 60 at U of T. 60 or 70 at U of T. McMaster, probably similar price. So I told the brother, I said, man, aren't you saving, for your kids' education? They're once they're ready to go off to college, to university, or whatever. He says, yeah, but frankly, not my main concern. I looked at him. I said, interesting. Wouldn't usually hear a parent say that. He said, my concern is that when I die and they come to my grave, will they recite Al-Fatiha and know its meaning? That when I'm 6 feet under and I leave this world, will they remember me with the dhikr of Allah? That all that MA and MBA and PhD, and I'm not putting, that's all good when we do it to serve the community, don't get me wrong. But he said at the end of the day, and it's something that struck me, like I said, it's been maybe 9 years we've had this conversation. We haven't even met since then, 8 or 9 years ago. And he told me, and he's not an alim or anything, he's an ordinary brother in that sense. And he said to me, as long as my son or daughter, son especially, earns a halal income, he's happy at what he's doing. That is all I care about. That's it. And that is what a priority is. That when we believe in God, and we understand what our objectives are, then everything begins to transform around us, including the priorities of our own life and what we expect of our children. We expect excellence, no doubt, because mu'min should have excellence in everything that they do. But it's not about, earning this much money or that much money. Enough to live a life of dignity. That's enough. Of self-sufficiency, not a faqr. But this is all well and fine. Only when we accept these first principles. That the Lord that has given us life is owed something in that sense. And we give Him our entire life. And that is the meaning of Islam. That is Dinyat 101. That is the beginning of Dinyat, of understanding Aqaid. And the Aimma lived on this earth, and they knew that every breath that they took, they owed it to God. They understood this point. They were fully cognizant of this. So whatever they could share of their knowledge, they did with us. Whether it be of their du'as, or their ahadith, their ahkam, so on and so forth. Ziyarat. They shared it with us. Either we can spend our life or the free time of our life, whatever it is, in being interested in that and building our family and our community on that premise, or we can do something else. And that is what will differentiate a successful community from an unsuccessful community. A successful family from an unsuccessful family in the view of Allah Azza wa Jal and the Imam of our time, who was his hujjah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. That we realize that life would be ultimately tragic without God. It would be ultimately tragic, ultimately meaningless, and sad. And that's why Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Irham man ra'asa malahu raja. That have mercy on the one. Right? We read this in dua. Kumayt. Have mercy on the one whose greatest hope, ra'asa maluhu here, whose greatest wealth, rather, is the hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That there is no greater wealth than this. There is nothing a'adham from this. A'adham min dhalik. Irham man ra'as maluhu raja. And we read this again and again and again and again. How many Thursday nights? Layali Jum'ah. How many Thursday nights? The depth of this? Are we even beginning to be cognizant or even taking, are we, and I speak to myself, ila nafsi awalan, first to myself, are we even taking baby steps towards understanding that? Leave aside big steps, grown-up steps, adult steps, baby steps, infant steps. What sort of Muslims are we? What sort of Shia are we? What would Amir al-Mu'mineen expect of us on Laylatul Jum'ah? What does he want from us in teaching this dua to us? All of this comes back to knowledge. And you know, I asked someone the other day this question, very uncomfortable question. A Shia, brought up in the community, born, you know, into Islam, into Shia Islam, brought up in a, you know, outside of Canada, came here at a later age. And I said, in your years of life, I don't want to give away the age of the individual, but not young. In your years of life, as you're reciting this iftita and qumay, have you ever gone home, chosen one or two lines to contemplate over, or gone to ask an alim to have a discussion about it? And he or she said to me, no, I love it, I believe in it, I recite it, yes. And there's a translation, it's up there on the screen, I'm trying to follow that and the other, so I have an idea. Beyond that, no, not in the 35, 60, 50 years of life, no. What does it say to our relationship with the Amir al-Mu'mineen? With the Mawla of the Kainat? Really? Would he want more from us? And I'm not saying one is better than the other. To say Nara Haydari, no doubt. Ya Ali, there is no doubt. No doubt in that. And I've recited and I've talked about the importance of that. And I know our communities, alhamdulillah, and may Allah never take this from them, does this practice. Alhamdulillah, it's good. But would Amir al-Mu'mineen truly just be satisfied with that? If we're going to take the time out to come here and read his dua, the dua of Kumail ibn Ziyad, that he taught to Kumail, and he says that the greatest wealth, that the head, the ra'su maluhu, even to get into the poetics of this is something else, is the hope in Allah. That without this, life is ultimately futile and tragic and meaningless and sad. And because of this, because of the seed of love that God has implanted within our hearts for Him, because of this seed, we shall find happiness. But that happiness only lies with Him. The beginning and its end lies with Him. And that is what insan fails to understand. And God is so merciful that He's okay with that, providing at some point in our life we try to find it. He's okay with that. He'll accept whatever little ma'rifah we have when we're reciting dua al-iftitah. He'll accept that. And there's thawab in that. And there's reward in that. But if we were to truly face Amir al-Mu'mineen or Sahib al-Zaman, who have given us these incredible gems of oceans of light, how would we face them? Knowing I spent 30 years, 40 years, 50 years hammering away at the same supplication. Yet I probably couldn't explain more than 1 or 2 lines to him. That as we prepare for the wafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, is this on our mind? It's important. And Allah shall guide us. Because He has brought you here, and He has brought me here. And He is all forgiving, and He is all merciful. It is because He loves us that He has brought us here to this Husayniyah. It is because He loves each and every one of us that we can engage in the dhikr of Allah and His hujjah. Think God doesn't love us? If He didn't, He wouldn't bring us here to give us these opportunities. And for us. Yes. Ultimately, He does. And He gives us so many opportunities, and inshallah, He will continue to give us opportunities. But at a certain point, the game is going to be over. Line will end. The only problem is we don't know when. We just don't know when. كل يوم هو في شأن. He knows. We don't. And whatever He has revealed of the divine knowledge to His Mas, to the Ma'asumi, He follows. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So I don't want to continue too much longer, so we can prepare for the salah in a few minutes, inshallah. Tomorrow I will be continuing this discussion by now raising a second issue, which is, what is the intellect according to Islam? What is intellect? Al-aql. What is it? What is its purpose? How should we use it? How should we be guided by it? These are fundamental questions. Fundamental questions because the Aimah have told us, لَيْسَ بَيْنَ الْإِيمَانِ وَالْكُفْرِ إِلَّا قِلَّةُ الْعَقْلِ. That there is nothing that separates Iman, belief, and disbelief except the lack of aql, qillatul aql. The minimal use, the lack of use of aql. That Iman and kufr itself is divided along aql. Right? And this then comes back to so many other things. To our marriages, our rituals, our schools, our communities, and the way we raise our children. Is it based on aql or something else? And if it's not based on aql, follow me here. I know the Maghrib is 9:02, so we have a couple more minutes. Follow me here. We're going to continue this tomorrow. Follow me here. I'm also hungry. We all are. Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward all of us, inshallah. Iman and kufr is distinguished by what? I just said. Aql. So the sifat of the mu'min and the sifat of the kafir, and someone could be Muslim but still be kafir. Here I'm not talking about saying La ilaha illallah. I'm talking about being initiated into the deen itself completely and thanking Allah for all His blessings. Not doing kufr of Allah's blessings either. that iman and kufr are differentiated by aql. And if aql is the basis for everything that is good, for everything that is connected to the iman with Allah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we have to know what are the attributes of aql, sifat of ahlul aql, of the people of aql. Then we must ask, what are the attributes that define my marriage, the way I raise my kids, my perspective on education, my life goals, and when I look at the mirror, the way I view myself, among many other things. Then I can ask again, do I have the attributes of kufr or iman? Sifat al-kufr or sifat al-iman? Or do I have a blended smoothie mixture of both? A little bit of everything inside. Maybe a little bit of everything. So then the question is, if I have a little bit of everything, is that good enough? Knowing that I have a little bit of everything, but I'm content with my life being a metaphor for a tropical smoothie, mixed fruit cocktail? The answer is no. Because then I'm living a life of open nifaq. Open and clear nifaq. And then Allah will hold me accountable. Certainly. And then our family, our community, our marriages, and their ceremonies, and all the bells and whistles attached to it, and its baggage, and in-laws, and this and that, and all these problems, then can be seen through a different lens. It's the lens of aql. And nobody here wants to be jahil. I don't want to be. You don't want to be. But we may be doing jahil things with the face of aql and iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us, inshallah, to Sirat al-Mustaqim. Or continue to guide us to Sirat al-Mustaqim, to give us a tawfiq to understand Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, to understand the kalam of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. In this month of Shahr Ramadan, to take our deen to the next level through his kitab and through the sunnah of his Nabi and his proofs that have come to us through the 13 ma'asumeen after the Prophet. وآخر دعوانا والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم.